Hey guys, Moodi Dennaoui here, aka the Diet Doctor, also a body science ambassador and CEO of the new athletic shred division. And today we're going to talk about one of the gold label products by Body Science called Triandrobol Test. Now, before I deconstruct the ingredients and how to take this product and why I use it, I want to talk a little bit about the hormonal system and the endocrine system and why it's become such a disaster in a developed society. Excuse me, by the way, I'm just making my post-workout shake. If you've been following Snapchat, we just finished training shoulders, so you've got to get your priorities right and get your protein intake in. That's hydroxyburn shred, by the way, with some beta-alanine and some creatine. Now, if you remember, if you're as old as I am, once upon a time, fertility clinics used to be maybe one in every major city, sometimes if that. Now, we're in a situation where you've got a fertility clinic in almost every street. You've got multiple fertility clinics in every suburb. People are struggling to have children, and it's not a joke. And it's quite sad, actually. It's because of developed societies full of artificial processed food. Now, we can't avoid them, but rather than treat the symptoms, we want to attack the cause, and that is whole foods and getting a healthy hormonal system. But we're in a rush from getting from A to B, getting to work. We have kids, we have multiple jobs, our spouses have jobs, our partners have jobs. So realistically, it's very, very difficult to eat whole foods all the time, unless you grow your own crops. And you're making sure that you know where your food is coming from and everything's organic and there are no hormones and no preservatives and no artificial ingredients, then you can guarantee that your hormonal system is perfect. And then you've got your hereditary issues. So it's pretty obvious when you look at fertility now as opposed to where it was, as to why the hormonal system and the endocrine system is so important. Look at beyond just what it does to your ability to conceive and the way it actually makes you feel. Your hormones being balanced has an effect on your temperament and your mood and your relationships and the way you deal with people and the way you function, the way you interact with people, the way you progress in the gym, and that's what we're getting to. Whether you're going to build size and strength, whether you can last the duration of your workout, whether you're fatiguing a little bit quicker than what you thought you could. And that's not just in the gym, that's in the bedroom. I don't want to be too blatant when it comes to that topic, but it's a reality. Like I see billboards, how long do you last and things like that. It's ridiculous, and that never used to be an issue. You've got people that are in their 20s that are having erectile dysfunction, that have got problems, in the bedroom, and that was unheard of in the 70s and in the 80s. Definitely was unheard of when I was growing up. And with this product, you've got something that's transparent, not hidden behind proprietary blends. If there's a blend of ingredients in here, it's transparent. You know what's in here, and you know what you're taking. But let's look at why this is the most potent test booster before you get into the chemical compounds such as steroids. There's nothing stronger than Triandrobol Test that's available over the counter. Now, the label says may help increase levels of bioavailable testosterone in the body, so more testosterone is available to be utilized by the body. Now, bioavailable testosterone, there's a difference between how much test you have and how much active test you have. So you've got test that is free roaming and doing its thing. And you know it's doing its thing because you're putting size and strength on, and your body fat's nice and low, and your libido is there. And then you've got testosterone that's not available and it's binding to albumin. You don't have to know the scientific jargon that goes with the hormonal system and the endocrine system, but to put it in layman's terms for you, you've got testosterone, a total count, and then you've got testosterone that's available and that's active and that's actually functioning. Now, what this product has the ability to do is to separate that testosterone that is attached to something that is preventing it from doing its job. So there is testosterone that is attached to other compounds and other elements that are preventing it from actually being active and doing its thing. And this product separates that testosterone and makes sure that you've got more free roaming testosterone. So it's not just your total testosterone count, it's how much active testosterone you've actually got. I'll go into more detail with regards to the actual ingredients that comprise this product. You've got 80,000 milligrams per serving of tribulus, 640 milligrams of protodiostin. Now, that is the largest dosage in the country of tribulus. Now, that doesn't mean it's toxic on your system, because there are 13 clinical studies that prove that, what Body Science are funded, by the way, that prove that this particular product is not toxic. Now, a lot of you will start, if you've got this in your hand as we speak, will start to ask yourself, okay, well, if it's not toxic, why is it cycled 8 weeks on, 8 weeks off? The way steroids are cycled on and off. Now, the reason why steroids are cycled on and off is because they actually harm your system. They're toxic, so you need a rest, you need to recover. The reason why we recommend you cycle off is not because you're unhealthy after 8 weeks, it's because your receptors, just like anything you consume, become desensitized. Now, if you've been on anything, whether it be Triandrobol Test, whether it be a pre-workout, whether you've been drinking 2 coffees a day, you eventually build up an immunity, and you're not as sensitive to what you've been doing. Even when it comes to physiological things like training, you start to need to lift more, you need to do more repetitions, and that's because the body builds up an immunity to something, and your receptors become desensitized. So we suggest 1 week off, not because it's a toxic product, but because we want you to become sensitive to it again, so when you jump back on it, you're like, wow, it's working the way it did when I first started it. You've got fenugreek, you've got horny goatweed, aspartic acid, boron. Now, boron is a trace mineral that's very, very critical in the production of testosterone for men. So BSC have gone far and beyond what they've actually had to when it comes to putting a product like this together. Most companies, most supplement companies that bring out a test booster will be predominantly just tribulus, and that's it. They don't look at the whole holistic perspective, the general health and well-being. So that's why a lot of the studies and a lot of the research that BSC have done has been from Ayurvedic medicine, and that they look at supplements or anything in particular, compounds in particular, from a physical, mental and spiritual perspective. Now, I can't prove to you that something is spiritually better for me, but if mentally I'm in a better place, if physically I'm in a better place, then spiritually you're going to be in a better place anyway. But going into why or where they source their research and how they funded their research just tells you that they actually care about what's going into the product. They've gone far and beyond by putting 45 micrograms of vitamin K2, which is not a direct booster of testosterone, but vitamin K2 creates an enzyme that is responsible in the production of testosterone. And vitamin K2, by the way, this is the only product on the Australian shelf that contains vitamin K2. It's the only test booster in the country that you can actually get your hands on that contains vitamin K2, which is not a situation that may prove testosterone is going to be increased by taking this product, but it's actually proven, it's scientifically proven, it's published in journals, so it's backed up. There's been longitudinal studies on vitamin K2, there's been studies done on large masses of people, so we know it works, and that's per daily dose. It's very simple to take. You take, if it was a training day, you would take 1 on an empty stomach. It's not going to hurt you if your stomach is empty, it's nice and subtle on the tummy. So you would take 1 on an empty stomach, and you would take 1 just before you start training. On non-training days, you would still consume the product, but you would take 1 just before brekkie and one just before lunch.